Hey, sorry about the lighting you're about to see in this next clip. It's really hot outside, so I didn't want to go out there, and I don't exactly have the best filming area set up in my house, so, well, excuse the inconvenience. But I hope you enjoy this video, and thank you for watching. If you can reach enlightenment through meditation, and theoretically you could meditate at any time, doing anything, is it possible that you could always be enlightened? What is meditation? If we are just consciousness, sort of swirling around in an energy soup that's feeding us information, and we sense and perceive and interpret this information in order to form our perception of reality, then, in a sense, if we are just consciousness, and consciousness is primarily, if not only, awareness, then all we are is awareness surrounded by a reality with which to be aware of. Excuse me. Yeah. I would define meditation as a practice of using your awareness to shift yourself into different states of consciousness. Kind of just like when I am more aware of the reality that I'm in, and I'm perceiving all of the details, or at least trying to, my consciousness is more grounded in this reality. I haven't directly experienced this, but if you're more aware of astral energy, and you sort of forego your awareness of this reality in order to receive awareness of sort of the astral plane, then theoretically your consciousness would be there. Sort of assuming that the words consciousness being there implies that it's active in that space. Even though I'm pretty sure once you leave this dimension, space is a little less significant. I had a really weird lucid dream last night. Not weird in the sense that it was highly unusual, but weird in the sense that I wasn't fully lucid, but I knew I didn't have to abide by typical rules within the dream. I knew I could fly when I wanted to. I could shift things within the reality. At one point, I took a statue of what are the lions with wings? What do they call those? I don't think it's a chimera. It wasn't a sphinx. But it was something like a lion with 8 eagle wings. I took it off of the roof of this building and brought it down to the ground. And I didn't want the wings on it, so I just turned it around. And as the wings sort of went behind the body, when the body continued to turn, the wing was no longer there once it came back around. So I brought it over and just kind of hovered it above the ground. And I just looked at it, studied it, looked at the way the sculptors who made it had sort of depicted its mane. It was really interesting. It was just engrossed, I think, is the word, in the dream, but I was aware that it was just a dream. What if enlightenment is just like that? We're here in this reality, except we know what this is. We know how the rules work, how the game is played. And we know that the only thing that we're involved in is really making choices. You can decide to go one way or the other. You can think, well, if this happens that I don't have control of, what would I do? And if that happens, what would I choose to do? And you can really use your awareness, your consciousness, to just explore the probability that is this almost random reality. I say almost random because it seems random. There isn't exactly a way things are supposed to be, which would make it kind of random in a sense that there's nothing preordained, to use that kind of word. But there is still cause and effect. And if there are causes, then that means that there are reasons in the sense that there are explanations. Kind of going on a tangent, but what I really want to focus on is just, if we're here and we're just consciousness, just awareness, not even really in control of this body at all. Well, we have influence over it, but for the most part, it does what it wants. You know, your brain runs on its own, your heart runs on its own, your lungs run on their own. All of your bodily systems are just pieces of a puzzle working in tandem to make one full being of expression. And we're just kind of taking part in that. And going back to meditation and enlightenment, if you really want that sense of awe-inspiring existence, if you want to be fully engaged in your reality, it really is just as simple as choosing to be aware. Of course, there's a process, there's some growing, there are stages to development. In the awakening process, there are all sorts of things that people go through. Losses, but also growths. But that's within time. And time isn't part of the now. The now is just the now. The past and future, they're illusions. The past isn't now, the past is gone. The future doesn't exist. It's an idea, a probability of occurrence. But the now is occurrence. So, be engaged in the now. What's going on? What are you aware of? What are you potentially not aware of? And just, if we're here, we might as well fully be here. See what we can do, see what happens. Consciousness doesn't die. There's nothing to fear. Sure, we could be aware of bad things, but we're not the bad things. We're not the good things either, but it is nice to be aware of them. Within some sects of Buddhism, there's the idea that people don't necessarily have to achieve Buddhahood or enlightenment. Nirvana is not a goal for the few, dedicated ascetic monks. It's available for everybody. And anybody can be enlightened at any time. In a single moment, a single realization could bring you to the ultimate metaphysical truth of reality. And you might just spend the next 10 minutes laughing. It really is amazing. Such a wonderful game. I hope you make good choices. Peace. If you have a backyard or any other expanse of nature around you, it's basically just giving you an incredibly interestingly random experience. I highly suggest meditating by it. There are so many things to see and follow. And there's almost no end to the, I guess, interesting thing. And there's no end to the interestingness. I don't even know what word to use for that. I guess just amazement. But, well, it's a little more than that. Meditation can be described as the practice of being fully engaged in what you're doing, in a sense. Perfectly aware of what's going on, while also aware that you are simply just being aware. As soon as I find them, they run away. Like the great secrets.